Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Gray Area here on the Black Man Unfiltered Network, simulcasting on the Sparta HQ Network. I'm Mr. Bennett, joined by my partner, as always,
This is Sparta!
the Ghost of Sparta, aka Peter, aka Panayotis. Yasu, my brother, what is going on?
Another long day out of the books. That's all I gotta say.
I hear you, man. You've been grinding all week, and I've seen it. So, certainly get some rest after the show. But I appreciate you grinding. You've been grinding all weekend, so certainly I appreciate you hopping on board tonight. But certainly for everybody in the chat tonight, again, we appreciate you guys being here. Make sure when you come in, make sure you hit the like button as you come into the show. Really helps our algorithm, and also consider dropping a Cash App or Super Chat to the Black Man Unfiltered network. So you see scrolling at the bottom of the screen. Again, Cash App, Super Chats are always welcome here to the network. And anything that you want to give to us personally, our Cash Apps and Super Chats are scrolling at the bottom of the screen. And, so again, we're working both channels. We're very close to monetization on the Sparta HQ network. So again, just show some love. Just go over there. Drop a like over there as well. Really helps us out over there. And again, looking forward to certainly another certainly big show. And hopefully we have a good audience. All we ask for the audience is just keep it clean in the chat. And but definitely we want you guys to be vocal in the chats, but just keep it respectful there. But I mean, we're going to talk about, we've been talking too much financial stuff as of late. We talk about taxes and 501c3s and all these other certainly instruments and whatnot. Let's get back to something even more complicated, which is online dating and that thing. So just your thoughts. Have you had experience? I admit I'm in 30th year of my marriage, so online dating wasn't necessarily a thing in my day, but you being a bit younger, have you had experience in the online dating sphere, and just your overall view of it?
Well, I'm gonna use our old friend Angry Elf. It's complicated. Like he quoted when he came on the show. Yes, I have a lot of experience from online dating. I have said it from the beginning. I don't think online dating works because people abuse that tool for their sexual pleasures, if I may say, bluntly. Like that. I am one of the lucky ones at the moment, because my current girlfriend, I have met her online, but she even said it to me. We were just having this conversation earlier this morning over coffee. We're talking, and she even said it before I reached out to her. She had 4 or 5 other guys reaching out to her. One was in DC, asking her to drive up and just sleep with him. So I am still a believer online dating does not work because of the way the algorithm is built out.
Mm-hmm.
Every one woman is 10 guys. So the odds are 1 is against us. 2 is when people use it for just to get their pecker wet.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the first problem. And the third problem, these online dating sites push paid prescriptions to men. Let me rephrase that. These online dating push prescriptions to men.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the reason behind it. I'm assuming is because men are most likely to, drop cash to get what they want.
Yep.
I'm assuming. I'm talking on my ass.
No, I think you're correct. I mean,
yeah. So, by that said, my most successful relationships, not including what I'm in now, because I'm so far it's so good, has been people I met through work, through friends, and all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
With online dating, it's hit and miss. It really is.
Right.
And this is why a lot of people are staying away from it. And it changes from season to season. What is the popular app? Mm-hmm. When online dating first came out and it hit my radar, it started with I remember the name of it now. Zooks. It worked with Facebook, but it wasn't part of Facebook. If that makes sense. Hey, a Match and other ones are around, but there were paid prescriptions for those. That's the only one that I knew that worked somewhat free, but wasn't 100% free. Meaning you get a couple. You can send a message like 4 or 5 sentences, and that's it. Then you have to pay for a prescription.
Mhm.
Then what came in my radar is Plenty of Fish, also is known as Plenty as Fuck. A lot
Mhm.
of people used to call it
Yeah,
because
yeah, it's definitely more of a hookup site. Yeah.
yeah, I know people who met on that and it was fine. I know people who use Tinder and they are happily married now. But the odds are against the marriage and more towards just hooking up.
Mhm.
There's so many out there now. Like
Mhm.
the question is, as a single person, man or woman, doesn't matter who you are, which one do you pick? You pick Plenty of Fish. You pick now the new the more popular one right now is Facebook dating. Yes, it is something for Facebook dating, Paul. Before
Yeah,
you,
yeah. We're gonna talk about that tonight. Yep.
yeah. Then is the other one is Hinge. Plenty of not Plenty of Fish. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Hinge, Tinder. You still have eHarmony. That's
Yeah,
popular out there.
eHarmony,
Match. I mean, there's there's
Match.
there's quite a, there's quite a few.
Bagel Meets Coffee is another big one.
Yep.
That's that one was created by a woman to make it a more safer space for women. But
Mhm.
again, it goes back to the same thing I said originally. People use it just for a hookup.
Mhm.
When you're using any online dating, I don't care which one it is, from Hinge to this, to that, to this, and you just want to hook up, you kill the purpose of an online dating. If people use tools, anything, AI, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, to use it to what it's for correctly, let's use AI, ChatGPT. You're supposed to use it more for help you write a paper or get ideas for a show,
Mhm.
break a thumbnail. Yes, but when people are typing writing a whole essay and it's copy and paste and they send it to their professor, to their professor, it kills the purpose of the tool now.
Right.
And like anything you do in life, if you use the tool wrong, you're gonna get negative results.
Yeah.
This is why I think, and this I know you showed the study was a couple months ago. We did a show on marriage, I believe. The
Mhm.
study shows most people are staying together and not getting divorced as the you know, um, as we think it was.
Yeah, the
Until
divorce rate just overall is it's not like in the 50, it's more nuanced, basically. It's more like a third,
yeah,
not the 50%, which is oftentimes cited. But when you put some nuance in, it's about in the 30s, not the 50s, as oftentimes quoted.
and I have a hard time believing that because I know a lot of people are getting divorced.
Hmm.
I cannot count how many people I know. I
Right,
don't have enough fingers to count, to be honest
right,
with you.
right.
So when I hear people using these tools, and a lot of times married men and married women are using these tools to do what, Paul?
No, I agree, and but the thing is, I don't necessarily have a problem with that. I honestly think
You don't have a
I
problem
think
people
we're
cheating?
having a market. I think we have a marketplace that is servicing anything and everything. But this isn't new. All right. The only thing with the whole online dating thing, I would change. I think that the name itself, online dating, is wrong.
Okay.
I think it's online meeting. It's not dating. And I think what a lot of people, I think what the frustration is that people thought that using some sort of online dating tool is going to somehow replace traditional dating or courtship or what have you. And I don't think that was ever the intent of it. It was, if anything, it was try to filter out what you had to do. But again, I go back a few more years than you. And so, there's been always been mediums of interactions between men and women. Back in the day, I mean, the common thing is that you actually had to go and walk up to a woman and introduce yourself and say your name or whatever and be rejected. And you had to do that multiple times.
The problem with that now these days, if you go up to a woman, just say, "Hey, my name is Peter. My name is Sparta. My name is Paul." Whatever. They will consider that as you're harassing them or you're stalking them. Okay, give an
Maybe
example.
I'm just telling you what
I'll
was,
give you an example, Paul.
I'm just telling you what the history of it was.
No, I know.
Today where it is, I'm not sure, and I'm not recommend, which is why I think online dating is a good idea.
Yeah.
Because
So
for that very reason.
I have mentioned on the channel multiple times on both platforms. My buddy Frank is a DJ. So I was going up again a drink. I realized this woman had toilet paper hanging from her ass, from her shorts. I politely went up to her and I went, "Excuse me." She goes, "I have a boyfriend." I'm like, you got this wrong. I have a boyfriend. I went, hear me out for a second. I have a boyfriend. I'm like, you know what? You can walk around with your boyfriend toilet hanging out your ass. And her friend goes, "You have toilet paper hanging out your ass." That's all I was going to do. Be nice. Being a nice guy.
I get it. I get it. I said, in today's market, it would be very interesting how I would react in today's market in terms of meeting people face to face. That's not the issue. But before we certainly go on, there's actually a poll. Thank you, Black Man Unfiltered. There's a poll that's been submitted in the chat. Would you trust someone you met online for a serious relationship? And so you can say, yes, it worked for me. Absolutely not. Or maybe with time. Certainly you can answer the poll question. We'd be very interested in the results of this poll by the end of the show. But certainly we appreciate you guys participate in this interaction. But let me take you back a while. So I already talked about what the tradition, what you grew up with in terms of how you met people or whatnot. But there's always been some sort of there's been something that he said that's always been out there. And so I just want to kind of go back in time, if you don't mind, again, given I'm an older dude. So if you go back in time, there's always been mediums by which people have met each other, okay, in some sort of non-personal situation. So if you look here on the screen, for those who used to read newspapers, they actually had personal ads in the newspapers. And I remember as a kid, I was too young for these, but when I was a kid, I would read I would just go through the personals. And as you can see here, there's all these acronyms. So again, if you look on the right, what these acronyms meant, single white female, single white male, etc. And people would put a little blurb in there, and then you would have some kind of call box that you would use. And if there's a connection or whatever, they call you back, you leave a message or whatnot. But again, it still didn't stop the process of people getting together. You still have to go through, again, the process of dating. But again, if you were bold enough in these times to meet someone through a personal ad and exchange numbers and then find a place to meet, all that stuff was the same. So again, you didn't have to, again, that didn't stop the process. But in the, certainly back in the day before there were computers and whatnot, this is how people hooked up. And so that was one method of dating. And then you had, and again, in India, since I'm in the IT industry, personal ads was huge. Certainly a lot of my colleagues from the 80s and in the early 90s, people would put ads in the paper specifically for marriage. And so, grooms wanted, brides wanted. So this was the thing for all my friends who were, looking for wives or whatnot. This was one of the means. It wasn't necessarily the only means, but it was one of the means by which people went to find brides and grooms, was through these personal ads. But then there still had to be the work. You still had to do the horoscope. You still had to get meet. The parents had to meet. All the stars basically had to align for people to get together. All right. So again, whether it be a personal ad, that was something. And then we also had in the media. Now, growing up, if you're a really old timer, you remember the dating game. If you're Gen X or older, you remember the theme to the dating game show. They used to come on, and you had 3 guys or 3 girls behind a glass, and the person would ask questions, and it's like, contestant number 1, 2, or 3. You had to pick your person, and they sent you on a date to Acapulco or something.
Believe it or not, Paul, I briefly remember watching this as a kid. Behind the glass, it was like a gray glass. I want to say, was it kind of thing?
Oh, what's that?
It was like a gray glass kind of thing.
But you weren't supposed to see the person who was.
Briefly remember watching it as a kid because I was just flipping through. I was channel surfing. I was bored as a kid, and I'm like, that looks stupid. I'm gonna watch this. Obviously, I was stupid to watch it, but even MTV had dating shows, if you remember.
I'm sorry, what was that again?
MTV had a dating show at one time too.
They probably did. Oh yeah, like I said, it was a boom. Like I said, I'm just, like I said, going back in time again. If you remember, for older people, you remember the dating game in the 80s and the 90s. You had Love Connection. Chuck Willery would be on there, and people would hook up, and they pay for dates. And then you had, I forget the show that came out like in the 90s and 2000s. There was another show.
There's so many coming out there, like
that was on that people would hook up on dates and stuff, and it was like one of those kind of reality type of dating shows that used to come on, and people would go on these dates and whatnot, and they'd have stuff at the end of the night. But again, the camera kind of followed you everywhere. Whereas with Love Connection, you would go on the date and you come back on the show and they would talk about the date. But this one kind of had a camera following you everywhere. So whether or not these things were legit or not, who knows? But again, you had this kind of interaction. Now, take it to where I was at the time when I was serious about wanting to date. And again, I didn't have a lot of game, whatnot. I would shoot my shot, but I get shot down a lot. But I did try some of these. So again, the radio station. So again, for Anton in the chat, you remember it's no longer a parenthesis, 98.7 KISS FM. They had this thing called the Soul Singles Connection, where you call a 1-800 number. They would give you a mailbox, and you would put a voice mail in the mailbox saying what you were looking for and all that kind of stuff. And if someone came back, you would get a notification saying, hey, you have 3 messages in your mailbox. And I actually went on a few dates. I went on about 3 dates that I met for people through that Soul Singles Connection. Right. Now, again, the dates didn't go anywhere. I mean, it wasn't, they were all strikeouts, but what it did, because for a lot of you guys I've explained several times on the show, I actually wrote a 4-page document on what I wanted in a wife. But what I did was every date that I went on, I was so intentional about wanting to get married. Every date that I went on, I cataloged and I noted the date, and it was like I redefined the document based on how the date went. But I wasn't afraid to go into these areas and meet people, blind dates. So I wasn't afraid to do that because they didn't know what I looked like. This is before the internet. This is 95, 90, early 96. Internet was just starting to come on at the time. So we didn't have these WBLS. They had a connection line also. And they would hype it up. Every radio ad commercial that they had on the show was talking about these things. So I was bold enough to kind of go into these spaces and do that until I kind of came up with my own system, if you will, of meeting people. But whether it been personal ads or dating shows or radio call-in shows or whatnot, you just went where you thought you may have some success. So there's always been some kind of online dating type of situation. And people used it. And look, you might have struck out, but you were striking out meeting girls in person anyway. Girl look you up and down. If she wasn't interested in you, she'd be like, bye. So you always had to have a kind of a thick skin to take rejection. Nowadays, you got people, right, 4 or 5, 2 women turn you down. It's like, oh, well, all women are trash. Back in the day, you had to meet dozens before you got a hit back then.
I remember when I was younger, in my 20s, when I used to go on a bar on a regular basis. All right. And after work, go at a happy hour, have a drink, start a conversation with a female. Not an issue. Didn't mean I got her number. I started a conversation on my local water hole. So we were, they recognized me. Hey, P, what's going on? Eventually, maybe that conversation graduated to a number in my phone. A phone becomes into a conversation on a phone, because this before text was actually popular. We're talking about you literally had to pick up the phone and have a conversation with somebody.
Right.
Believe it or not, you did talk on phone at one time, guys. So
yeah.
And now, even recently, when I was going to the bars with my boy, and I wasn't going there to meet females. I was just going to hang out with my friend. He was working as a DJ. So I was like, you know what? Let me hang out with my buddy. And I'm seeing these guys trying, getting rejected right and left. I go, damn, this game has changed so much. It's not even funny. And I think that's the problem. The game had changed so much, is not to the point that, what's the exact words I'm trying to find now? It's not fair for both parties, female and male, at this point.
Mhm.
It's a lot of females are also kind of scared. They were scared. They don't know who the guy is. They don't know they're gonna be a stalker or a serial killer and everything like that. It's a show on Netflix. My girlfriend watches it. She's like, I'm gonna freaking kill her. She goes to me, my ex psycho boyfriend, real psycho stories from police documentation. How the ex boyfriend murdered or stalked his girlfriend. I'm like, and she was looking at me, joking around, like, "You're not gonna do any of that shit to me, are you?" And of course, me being smart, I was like, "We never know." But again, oh, serious aside, and like you watch those, like, okay, we're talking about dating sites, the dating shows. Now Netflix has all the dating shows. Like one of them, I'm looking at the list right now. My other screen is just Age of Attraction. Age is not a limit anymore, bro.
Mhm.
And I usually see guys going on after they're in their 30s, sometimes for 55-year-olds. So, or vice versa.
Yeah, I mean, there's a show for everybody. There's a dating app for everybody. Farmersonly.com. Whatever your interest.
Or the Kruger.com at one point.
There's something for everybody out there. And I think having more choices, again, to me, like I said, the whole moniker of online dating, I think is misapplied. You don't date online. You meet people online, but again, if you're trying to circumvent the process, I love the comment here that was said earlier. If one isn't getting rejected, then one isn't trying. Rejection is one of the male rites of passage. And so again, if you're not willing to take a few strikeouts, then again, why you can't go in? So, bullsugardaddys.org. There's something for everybody out there. I'd rather have more choice than not. But let's talk about some of these statistics, though, because obviously I'm always researching stuff. So again, as far as the research, again, Pew Research back in 2019, 30% of adults 3 in 10 have tried something on a dating site, and actually more men have been on those sites, 34 versus 27 for between men and women. So it's not like, we hear 10-1. It might be for particular dating sites, but just the landscape is fairly spread across the board in terms of, demographics, in terms of age groups. Now I can understand a 65 plus, a lot of those folks, they're not even on computers like that. So why would they even try? But certainly for people in the 30 to 49 category, 50 to 64 category, a lot of these people have done it, even college educated people. So you would think in college or smart people that they wouldn't have any problems getting together, but they do. And so they are a lot more likely to use a dating site or a dating app over a non-college educated person. Again, just some more demographics here, in urban centers, typically there. Now, one thing certainly for the LGBTQ community, are almost twice as likely to use a online site for obvious reasons. Because you think if for straight people to meet people in person, but imagine you go up to the wrong person and say, "Hey, Peter," and you'll be like, "Look, I don't go there."
Dude, it has happened to me. People have come up to me and they recognize me through the channel or through somebody goes, hey, Peter, or Greeky, because all of my friends in his neighborhood call me Greeky from high school and stuff like that. I'm looking like, how the fuck do I know you? I literally said, was like, oh, I know so and so and so and so and so. I'm like, I don't give you the right to call me that, first of all, because only my friends call me that.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So I mean, so imagine it being hard for them, or certainly you don't want to put yourself in danger, messing with the wrong person and getting, violently assaulted because you made a pass at somebody. So again, you don't necessarily want to do that. So those folks definitely to protect themselves, they're gonna, go to, some sort of site or some sort of environment that's going to be friendly or welcoming to that community to meet people, because it's just too dangerous. Especially back in my day, it was too dangerous to put yourself out like that, especially if you were trying to keep things on the sort of low key a bit. Here in terms of people who've used it, again, this is from 75 Way. Again, a lot of people, depending on the age bracket. Like I said, I don't expect the over 65, because again, a lot of those people don't even have smartphones. So I don't expect a lot of.
You're so wrong.
I said a lot. I'm not saying any. I know your mom has one.
No.
But I'm just saying. But
if you go on dating sites, a lot of 55 to 60 range are on there now. a lot more than
Well, that's yeah. But
under
I think
30.
that's a good. I think that, and I think that number will grow over time as more people who are of older Gen X and whatnot are getting into their 60s. I'm saying certainly my dad's generation, forget it. I mean, they would never have done something like that. But again, if you are coming up, like I said, most Gen Xers are in their the older ones, 64. So yeah, so these guys are 60 in their 60s now, and if you worked in the IT field or whatnot, then yeah, I mean, you might be more open to these things versus someone from the baby boom generation. But it is growing in popularity. Here, this is from Forbes, the top dating sites. You mentioned Facebook earlier, and so that's one of the top
Right now
rated
is number
sites.
one. Is number
Yeah,
one. Because whatever your
absolutely.
profile is, it transfer it and it actually breaks everything down for you. You don't have to literally sit there for a good hour trying to set up your profile. You just select the pictures you already have. That's the hardest part. Uploading, actually, what's the word I'm looking for? That's to confirm if you actually are a real person. Because actually take a picture of yourself, then you said upload picture. It's just a pain in the ass.
Yeah,
So it's a lot. They made it very slim and very easy. It
yeah.
took ideas from Tinder and some other websites and just combined all the good stuff together, and hopefully it works. Keyword, good word here, air quotes for a reason. But go
Right,
ahead, I
right.
cut you off.
Yeah. Now, but each site has its own qualities to it. So you got this one site, BLK, again, best site for black
BLK.
singles. Okay, so if you're into that, sort of thing, and I'm sure there's all different types of ethnic sites. I'm sure there's a Greek online dating site somewhere, Pete. That
Yeah,
if you want to,
so with Greeks, but the
right.
problem with that, nobody wants to use it because it's so expensive. It's like $80 a month.
We're going to talk about that towards the end of this slide deck anyway. But again, if you're just the best site for casual hookups, I don't think this is a big surprise to anybody. Again, Tinder. If you just want hookups, again, Stir, best for single parents. So again, so we all know those folks have a hard time getting out on the dating scene. But again, what if you're on a site that where people aren't necessarily shunned for being a single parent? I mean, so you got something for them as well. Again, Match, again, best for in-person events. You mentioned this one, Coffee Meets Bagel, best for curated matches. So again, these are like sort of non-threatening type of situations that people may find themselves in. And then I got the last one here, Hinge. It says it has the best matchmaking algorithm. Hinge claims to use a Nobel Prize algorithm to help users go on better quality dates, providing them with match suggestions. So certainly that's just a listing of some of the top sites. Again, this is actually from PC Magazine, actually rated the site. So again, Hinge, again, most popular. Again, Match is still the gold standard for marriage-minded singles. eHarmony, premier destination for long-term relationships. Again, but that's usually that's a pay site. But again, we'll talk about pay sites as well. Again, now you do have some because best for women first inclusive. So again, if you're talking about apps where basically the woman has to make the first move, you got Bumble and OkCupid. It kind of puts the ball in their court more so than the other ones. And like we said earlier, Tinder, if you want to just have the more casual hookup, you have that there. Again, you got Grindr. There's a whole bunch of puns there.
There's
I don't
so
want
many,
to
bro. It's so
visit.
many.
But again, like I said, mentioned earlier, BLK for black couples, Fields, the alternative app for again open-minded individuals and couples, built for ethnically non-monogamy. So again, this is like if you're into total polyamorous sort of situations. But the point here is, like, again, there's something for everybody. Now, you had mentioned earlier that you were saying that most of these things don't work.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I don't know, the stats from what I'm seeing are not bearing it out. So there was a study done by the Knot. So they did a 2026 wedding survey. And from the findings of that, this is how generally a lot of people are meeting. 15% from school, 16% from common friends, 10% through work. That's, kind of how I met my wife, was through work, 9% social settings. But the biggest chunk, 27% of people who got married last year met on an online dating site or app. And I know 4 people personally that I've worked with that have gotten married or have a significant partner that they're still with who met on an online dating site. So when we throw things out there, just looking at the statistics, if we throw things out saying, oh, well, and these things, people don't get married through them. I know several. And these are typically older people who just don't want to deal with the idea of just going out on random dates. They wanted more control over, taking more initiative over the dating process. And they took the plunge and they got a result. And they're they either still married or still with the person. The one guy who's not married, I don't think he's almost 70. So I don't know if he's getting married again, but they've been together for like 10 years. So, I mean, and she's been there pretty much for everything. So they're kind of, so I don't see those guys breaking up anytime soon. But 27% is a decent number, especially if you're looking for, again, a long-term relationship. If you're going to give those kind of odds or stats, why not give it a shot? What's the worst going to happen? But I think, again, when you say that you have this thing in your mind that you can't buck the process. You're still going to have to know people. And again, you talked about, I think on one of our last shows, you talked about what's the length of time you need to date somebody before you consider marrying them. You're muted.
Sorry, I was muted. A year.
Yeah, so that's not going to change, in my view. You're still going to have to date that person for a year.
You're trying to do are not going to change. No, you're 100% right about that.
Yeah, so I'm saying all you're trying to do is limit the field. If you're not marriage-minded, don't even bother. If you got certain things that I just absolutely don't want to deal with, don't even bother. Now, again, do people fake it? Yeah, and that's obviously a huge concern of people. So another stat where they said 10 to 50% of these profiles are fake. But it goes down once you go into the paid subscriptions. It certainly gets lower with the premium subscriptions. But yeah, obviously that's going to be a fear. But guess what? Back in the day, you would meet people on the street, or you met the person in the club, and you realize later on they weren't with who they said they were in the club. And I knew brothers back in the day, you would meet in a very dark room a lady who you found out later on wasn't a lady at all.
Oh, what happened to my buddy?
Because the room, I mean, it's scary how some of these folks, how they move. But you in the club, you got the smoke-filled room and all that kind of stuff. You try to look at the Adam's apple or a voice or something.
I gotta say that. I gotta tell you about a story.
Okay.
So my buddies got back from a deployment, all right, and I picked him from the airport. He was, he went to the base and he flew to JFK. We drove up here to PA, and he goes, "I want 3 things tonight." He goes to me, "What is that?" I went to him, "I want American beer. I got you on that. American burger. I got you on that." He goes, "And American, you know what?" I went, "Don't you got on that, man? That's on you, buddy." So a couple of us went into the bar, had a good time. We're having it. My buddy goes to me, "Dude, I don't think that's a woman he's hooking up with."
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, "No, it can't be." He goes, I'm like, "Dude, I'm pretty sure that's a guy." He looked at me, goes, "I'm both checking him." I'm like, "Oh, no, you're not. I'm not going to freaking stop this shit." He goes like, "Yes, I am." I'm like, "You're on your own, buddy." He went up to him, like, he handed him the beer. He swung by accident, keyword by accident, and he go, "Ugh." And we're like, "I fucking knew it."
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. I'm so glad it happened in the bar, because my buddy would probably be in jail right now for murder.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it happens more often than you think.
Gotcha. Question was asked earlier. So again, for Douglas Ehrlich, no, this is not a panel. Our show typically is not a panel. This is a discussion between me and Peter, but we do once a month. We do a call-in show where we invite certainly people to come on and air or it's a show that we talked about prior, or it's just an open line where we could talk about almost anything. So again, you're certainly welcome if you have some comments about online dating, or if you want to share your experiences or whatnot. I think another week.
No, I think next week, actually.
Next week, I think we're having a call-on show next week. So if you want to come back and raise, your concerns or questions tonight, you can certainly do that. and whatnot. But again, this is a conversational. We certainly invite you to be part of the conversation, certainly in the chats. Put your comments and things there. We'll try to show and display those. But typically no call-ins, and also it keeps the show under. We're really good about trying to keep the show under 2 hours. So that's a premium for us. But just a couple more stats before I drop the deck. So again, you talked about the cost of dating. So again, first of all, this is from Hustle Online. Again, most people don't even date. 12% of people didn't even go on a date last year. 38% less than 5 dates or less. And then if you talk about the average cost of a date, so people talk about the fees that an online site will charge, but then look at the average cost of a date. Average cost of a date across the board is about $68. And that's assuming that you're not trying to be one of those big spenders and take her to an expensive steakhouse on the first date, but that's just for the date itself, not multiple dates. And again, depending on your mores, if you think the man should pay for the first date and then go Dutch on the next date, so should a man pay for all that conversation? Maybe we'll save that for another show. And you can certainly we can bring that up in another one. But it's expensive to date. Mm-hmm. If you went and dated like back in the day, 10 to 20 dates a year was laughable. You would go on 3 to 4 dates. And again, for OGs in the chat, you would go on 2 or 3 dates a week. That was like the norm until you found somebody you were just going to rock with. And how much that costs, especially adjusted for today's prices, if you were going to put that in today's dollars, how much would that cost? And if this is the Joshua Jones that I'm aware of, okay, yeah, definitely have you back. Haven't seen you in a while. Glad you're still following us and around. But yeah, definitely hop on the show next week, and we'd love to get caught up with you. But hope you're doing well. Hope your family is doing well. Good to see you. So again, I mean, the cost of dating, and this one I just picked up just before we got on the show. This is from Willie D Live. 52% of young men said they cannot afford to date as rising costs impact modern relationships. Again, you got women out talking about going to Cheesecake Factory is a lousy first date. I mean, so if women are expecting guys to be shelling out this money on a first date or to date them, that a guy's going to have to put his money out like that. Again, whatever happened to the coffee date. But again, is the woman that you're interested in, would she take a coffee date? Because men would certainly have no problem with this. Coffee date, meet at the park, meet at the beach, whatever, no problem. But that's another factor that's also here. So how much is it really costing you if you were going to be aggressively dating, aggressively so? Not 5 dates or less per year, but if you're going to be aggressively going on dates, how much is it going to cost you? And is the fear of, because all these fears people talk about, fake people, fake ideas, whatever. I mean, back in the day, guys, I knew guys who would say anything to get girl's number or to go out with her. Talk about money that he didn't have. Talk about job or career that he didn't have. Talk about kids that he had but didn't share. So there's always been risk in dating, and you do need to do your due diligence. Whether it be, I mean, if you talk about serious with somebody, I mean, now people are like, look, I want your credit report. I want the file. I want, if you got to give me a social security number so I can do a background. People are serious about, again, who they're interacting with, if it's worth investing their time in somebody. And so I don't think that meeting someone through an online or through a social network or through, a referral or whatever thing is going to change any of that. All it is just another net that you're casting that hopefully for some of the fish that stay in the net that you can deal with, but you're still going to look to disqualify everybody except one. Unless, again, that's assuming if you're looking for marriage or long-term relationship. But if you're just looking for hookups or whatever, then I guess you got more to play with. So again, I never had this. I never, got this idea why people so fear. If going back 30 years, if this was available to me, and I wasn't having that much success in terms of meeting people, because back then, I mean, and people would try to hook you up with people. You like, I'm not attracted to that. Back then I was 140 pounds. You're gonna hook me up with a woman that's double my weight. I'm like, come on, bro. I mean, what am I gonna do with that? You know what I'm saying? I mean, but because they were their friends, they were interested in what their friends wanted. They never asked me what I wanted, which again was one of the reasons why I wrote the document. Because I wanted to say what I wanted. And I was going to take control. It's like, it's going to be on my terms. And you're not going to send. And again, I had some people with some of the best intentions. But again, they were only looking out for their friends. They weren't looking at what I wanted. So again, you got to be mindful of that. But we got our first super chat tonight. Shout out to our guy, Anton, big supporter of the channel. $5 super chat. Social media has contributed to the difficulties and challenges of dating. Everyone is afraid to be creative and original. No question. We got here. You'll probably forget the topic. Again, it'll be there. But just like I said, just come on back. I said next week we should have a show. Surely come back to it. If you do come up, we'll remind you, okay, what we talked about. Doesn't matter online person. It doesn't matter. Most people are wearing masks to play characters society tells them that they should play. Yeah. So again, what difference does it make, especially in today's time, whether it be online or not? You're still going to have to risk it. You're still going to have to make yourself vulnerable.
And that's, I think, where it scares a lot of people, letting their guards down. Because that you meet somebody you don't even know anybody from. It's not like, okay, Paul introduced me to Jessica. And like, I know, I know, okay, I know if Paul is introduced me to Jessica, I know she's a good person at the end of the day. I don't have to be scared as much. But you don't know this person. I don't know. So,
well, it's interesting because I've known situations where even the person who you think you're introducing to, you don't know that person either. I've seen that happen. Like stuff comes out later on. It's like, oh, I had no idea they came off as a nice person or whatever. How well did you know your friend before I got all this intel and information? Again, you can't buck the process. Now, does comment, I would question the character of person that seeks shortcuts, i.e. dating apps. Again, I don't look at it as a shortcut. I look at it as a lead. So, for example, if you were ever in sales, there's all kinds of vehicles and all kinds of things. You got white pages, yellow pages. You got specific call sheets. Or back in the day when people used to do door-to-door sales. But now you have a book, a yellow book or something where you can make calls, or there's pools of data. In fact, people used to sell lead data, like sell it as a service that people would, companies would buy so that they can have access to more business-minded people. But you still had to make the calls. And for lunatics saying that, comparing it to sales is crazy work. Well, it is. We're all selling ourselves one way or another, whether you like it or not. I made a sales pitch to my wife, or at the time, the person that became my wife, and she bought and I bought her. If you don't like that kind of language, then I don't know what to tell you. But it's interesting, in sales, you got to make hundreds of calls to get a few appointments. But somebody goes out on a date, and the date goes bad, and you're like, I'll never date again. I mean, that's not right either. So again, you got to be, so you never see the true person, you create an image in your mind, all true, but that happens in person or online. It's still it's still the same thing. Shout out here for another one. My wallet, my choice. Though we can't take women seriously these days, but we can choose the women who choose us. They audition for us, not the other way around. Yeah, I mean, you need, yeah, definitely take some, definitely takes some ownership, men, and don't be afraid to state what you value, whether it be in your online profile or in person. Person should know I wouldn't go out on a second date with anybody who didn't know what I was looking for. And if that scared a lot of women off, so be it. I let women know right away. I am marriage minded. I'm looking for a wife. And if you're not down with that, there's no need for this date to continue or let alone have a second one. Next. And in sales, I've done sales in the past. That's what they told you. It's not no, it's next. Until you find a dance partner, someone you want to you want to that you want to deal with. So people can handle the truth because society makes society programmed into them. Certainly, I have no disagreement with that. Great. So we're selling interest to selling. Look, it's been that way forever. I don't know. I don't know. Respect, brother. I don't know where you've been. But we've always been selling each other. We always put, especially when meeting someone, we put our best foot forward. Back in the day, if you had an apartment, you barely cleaned up, you're bringing a girl over, probably the first time you clean your apartment in a while. You get your car washed. You put fresh scent trees in the car because you wanted to impress. You got your special gear on, you dress, how you dress. That you know that's not how you dress on a regular basis, but you wanted to have an impression. And she may dress that same way also, that little black dress that she'll put on. You know she's not wearing that all the time. So that's the real. But the issue still is, are you getting, at the end of the day, are you getting what you want? And if it comes through these means, like I said, the 4 people I know, it's working for them. And again, I'm only using my anecdotal experience. But that being said, people get shot down all the time.
And that's part of the dating game. You're gonna get shut down. You're gonna feel like an idiot. You're gonna feel all these emotions. But that's the point of going through 100 chicks till you find the right one. Am I wrong or right, Paul?
No, and again, Joshua Jones again interested. Great high school never ended. I don't think that's high school. I think that's you're always auditioning. Even and for a lot of people, even in their marriage, they're still auditioning. It's good until things don't get good anymore. That for better, for worse, for rich, for poor, in sickness and in health. People may say that stuff, but are you really, in the back of their minds, are they really about that kind of life? Are they really ride or die? You lose your job for an extended period of time. And what's gonna happen down the line? How long will she stick with you? I mean, these are questions these are questions that, again, men don't like being asked, or don't think, well, my woman isn't like that. But again, I've been in the game 30 years. And if I was disabled, if it was something that happened where I couldn't work or whatever, I think certainly my wife would stick with me. But if I just got lazy, like, you know what, I don't want to work anymore, that'd be a problem. So again, the issue is dating. And again, you may not like dating, or for what some guys are doing, you think you might go better outside the country. Passport bros and whatnot. And again, I'm not saying if those guys are having success, good for them. I have no hate for somebody. If you decide to take that into your own hands, leave the country, date outside, which is certainly expensive. You think online dating is expensive, or even going paying on dates in the country is expensive. You traveling halfway around the world, going to Thailand or Bangkok, trying to find somebody. If that's not, if that's, that's expensive also. But if you think your odds are going to improve by doing that, again, I hope they do. I got no smoke for passport brothers or people who decide to take more ownership over what they want and are willing to do whatever it takes to pursue what they want. I got no issues with that. But Pete, I still want to get back to you is that given everything that we've shared tonight, you still have this aversion to online dating. And I'm still trying to get to why. But again, like I said, I think the moniker online dating needs to change. Online meeting. Do you have an aversion to that?
No, I don't have a version of that. Like that, my biggest pushback online dating is because it's been such a bad experience too recently. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like I've been on this off and on for years. And the one I'm with now, she's one of the few ones that would say, "Hey, she's not crazy in the head. She's not going after my wallet." I have girls want to do, they want my social security, they want to do a background check, they want to know how much money I owe, how much debt I'm in, what kind of, like they wanted everything before we even said 5 words. I'm filling a goddamn job application here for a Secret Service. Like, chill out. We're just having a conversation. I think I mentioned to you, I have a limited a process here how I screen people.
Mm-hmm.
Have I ever told you my screening process?
No.
So okay, so obviously profile comes up, I find it attractive. Depends on the website. If I have to hit like or send a message, whatever, right? You respond. We open a conversation. If the conversation is going well, it's not like awkward, like I'm trying to break the ice kind of thing. But we broke the ice, we're having a fluid conversation. Then I would feel comfortable enough. You say, "Hey, how about we change gears here and take it to a phone call or text?" That goes well. They want to stick to text. We're texting. Then from texting, we go to a phone call. And this is not a rule that I will break. It must be a FaceTime at some point.
Sure.
Because I have been catfished more times than I can count. If you don't look, this is your picture, and this is what you look now. Now, yeah, I don't want a picture that was 20, 30 years ago. I want a picture that you look now. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
I have girls that's like, no, I don't like FaceTime. I don't feel comfortable. Like, then we are nothing to talk about.
Yeah.
I've been called an asshole. I've been called all this stuff. Like, I don't give a shit. These are my rules. If you cannot respect my rules, that's fine. But we have nothing else to say. If you cannot respect the little thing I'm asking now, then we have a problem here.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, moving forward, then if that works, I'd like to meet you in a week or two from that point.
Mm-hmm.
Tops. And the rest depends what happens on the date, of course.
Okay.
Most times it doesn't even hit date one. It doesn't go past a text. Most times. Most don't want to hold a conversation.
Hey, thanks, Joshua, for coming through. Again, really good to hear from you. Again, come on back when you have time. Appreciate you being on tonight. But I would then ask you, so what's wrong with that? Now, again, lunatic libertarian. Again, appreciate you being here tonight. Also, again, he's got a list. He's got like a kind of like what I had. He's got a document. He asked these questions. Can you give natural birth, your natural function by God? Most said they can't. They don't understand the thyroid destruction caused by birth control. I asked them if they believe in societal programming or beauty standards. Now, again, I think a lot of them, he asked about, again, do they know about what they know about nutrition, what they know about breastfeeding children? Again, he has his criteria.
Yeah.
Now, again, he's probably not going to get a ton of women with that. But the thing about it is, again, assuming he's looking for one woman, you don't need the world. Are you willing to go through 99 to get the one? And if he's not going to compromise, he's not going to come off as square. He's got like, here it is. This is what I'm about. These are my principles. And I'm only going to entertain women who can rock with these things, or you're automatically disqualified. I got no issue with that.
I usually lose them. Where I usually lose them is when I bring up the conversation about religion, because I think that's a very important conversation to have very early.
Yeah.
I usually ask them. I started like, "Hey, what's your nationality?" You go, "Oh, Puerto Rican, Greek, whatever, Polish, and so on." And I ask, "What nationality? What religion are you?" Because by your ethic, I don't think your religion has anything to do with your ethic, because you could be, um, Italian and you could be Baptist or Orthodox or whatever.
Mm.
And when that comes up, that's where I lose them. Like, a lot of people are not religious anymore. Now
Yeah.
religion's starting to get
Right.
back into the picture
But see,
recently.
I guess the interesting thing with you though is you're asking for a specific religious criteria. You're looking for an Orthodox person
Or a Catholic.
or a Catholic person. Okay, so you have so again, but it's interesting. You ask about ethnicity and things like that. But if that's something that you can't get past, you can get past everything else. So why not just lead with the religious part if that's like the number one thing to you? So again, everything else is good. But she's not Catholic nor is she Orthodox.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that's a deal breaker for you. So why not lead with that? Start with the
I usually do.
faith. No, you said earlier the first questions was your nationality and things of that nature, and then you asked about religion. I'm saying why not just lead with the religion and only deal with people who are either Orthodox or Catholic from RIP, and then everything else.
These Facebook, these dating apps don't break down religion. They go by, what are you into? Spanish, or are you into Black women? Are you into Asian women? That's all they care about. It says Christian and others. That's all the option you have.
Right, because I knew there was one time there was a Christian dating site, at least at one point. I'm sure there's some. Right, so I'm sure there's a Muslim. There's all kinds of sites. I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's an Orthodox. Maybe there's an Orthodox dating site that's out there as well. It may be worth looking into because again, people, if you have very specific criteria. Now, again, I stand corrected, and thank you for putting that out. Again, lunatic libertarian. Again, been married for 12 years. My wife gave birth to 2 natural children with no human intervention. So I guess you had like a midwife or something. If I understand that correctly, you didn't do it through a hospital. You didn't use epidurals or whatnot. It was just sort of old school process. But again, if that was your criteria then, and if you were for whatever reason got back on the dating process again, you would still have the same criteria. And just however you met your wife in the, the manner you guys got together, if those were standards that you had, then she obviously qualified. But I don't think that that's not the majority. It was really the point that I was making. So glad to know that you're married, have marriage, have kids, and all those things. Glad to hear it. The only point I'm making is that again, that's based on your standards. You're not going to get a lot of hits. But again, for marriage, that's okay. But too many people, 1 or 2 bad dates or whatever, and I'm done. I'm not dating again, or it's too complicated or whatever. And then maybe one of your friends introduces you to somebody, or you find yourself in some place or whatever. But again, a lot of guys are afraid to shoot their shots. And I think if you want something that badly, you're going to have to shoot and take the risks. There's no circumventing that. And again, standing on your standards or standing on your square of what you want. I think men need to take ownership of that. Go ahead, Pete. You were going to say something.
As much, you cannot give up. That's one thing I have not done. And you know how I am. I don't give up. You tell me something I can do, I'm going to fucking do it. Maybe that's the difference about me versus other people who go on 2-3 dates and they say, "Oh, I give up." If I gave up, I would be me, dating the girl I'm dating right now.
Right.
Simple.
Now, how did you meet her?
So Facebook dating.
So you went to an online site?
Yeah, I said it. I didn't deny it. I said it to you from the start.
But you said early on that again, you're not a big believer in online dating, but you just met the woman that you're talking about through an online dating site.
Yeah, but I'm not saying she's the next Miss Little Riches. I'm not saying that either. You know what I'm saying?
But again, you're enjoying a positive outcome and experience so far.
But how many years have I been on this website to get one good plus?
I didn't know. You didn't specify. So again, you're saying you're not a fan
I've been
of
on
the
it
site.
for 10 years.
Oh, okay.
So will you wait 10 years and meet the right one and have kids and stuff?
I'm employing all
I
means.
didn't ask you that. I asked you would you wait 10 years to meet your
But
wife?
to have what I have now, absolutely. But the point is, though, I'm not dependent on, and I'm not telling people that they should be dependent on one single source. I'm saying be open to everything that's available to you. Shout out to King Smith. Thank you for stopping through tonight. Again, make sure you follow his show, The King and Me, Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on their network. It's the King and M.E. Make sure you put that specific tag in, King. If you're still on, you can certainly drop your link in your chat in the chat, and certainly have people follow you and Michelle, so you certainly take it from there. But yeah, the idea here is that I'm open to anything. I was open to people introducing me and say, "Hey, I got a girl you want to meet." I'm like, "Great." Or I'm in the bookstore. I used to meet and date women like I met in the bookstore. I wasn't a big bar guy or club guy, but I would say, go into the bookstore. If she's into reading, especially certain books of certain subject matter or whatever, hey, to strike up a conversation. Borders Books and Music when they were around, or Barnes and Noble bookstore, that was a spot. That was a thing. That was a thing for me to. I'm black man. You need to stop.
Yeah, well, you are open for a lot of things, Paul.
This guy. But yeah, but all avenues were open to meet women, networking events, again, different pastimes, like if you're into like WWE wrestling or something, or some niche or some geek fandom type of stuff, meeting someone. Comic-Con had a meet and greet kind of thing if you're dating, because imagine, if you're a type of person who likes dressing up like a superhero or some character or something, and parading around hundreds of thousands of people that go to Comic-Con, you could possibly say you're a different type of individual. And what better place to meet someone who shares your interest in that sort of thing? If you're into cosplay, then I would think that would be something that you would want to participate in. And why not meet people who share your interest? So putting yourself in positions, which is really what this is all about. How can I put myself in the best position to get an outcome that I want? I think all is on the table. All options are on the table.
It's kind of hard for you to say that because you've been married for 30 years. You've been.
But I'm saying I use what I'm saying is at the time. So from 1995, because I was in an auto accident in 1994, so I wasn't in a position to meet anybody. I didn't get healed up until like 95 into 96. Whatever options were available, whether it be the WBLS connection line, 98.7 KISS FM connection line, I did that. Like I said, the personal ads, that kind of was, I was a little bit too young for that. That was, that was the thing that was kind of fading out at the time. I didn't get into that. But I went on blind dates. I went on, like I said, I would go up to a woman and talk to her and ask for her number and say, "Hey, would you like to go out on a date sometime?" In fact, I had one of my girlfriends. I met of that very thing. Yeah, we should get together sometime. And it just took off from there. But then like I said, I also wrote a document. If online, all these apps, I wouldn't go on any app. Obviously, I'm not interested in going on Tinder because, again, I wasn't looking for hookups. So that would be out. But if they're saying Match or eHarmony are the best sites to meet eligible people or marriage-minded, then I would go there. What was that?
I won't say best, but better than others.
Yeah. But I would, yeah. Like I said, the point is, I wouldn't do even Craigslist. I don't know if you remember Craigslist. I think they're still up. Craigslist.org. They had a personal ads.
Yeah, that was taken down. You know why?
I would think there's, yeah. But again, but that was an option also. I didn't use it. Like I said, by that time I was married. So
I tried it. I'll be straight up, you guys. I tried it. I tried that, and it was all scams. It was like everything you did was like, oh, you need to pay here to talk to this person, or this and this and this. It was just a big scam.
Right.
And when the prostitution got into it, there were it was a ticking time bomb. Simple as that.
So again, are you talking about the Yvonne Craig version of Batgirl? I think Eric had a thing for her back in the day, back in the 60s, the original Batgirl from the 1966 Batman series. But yeah, I mean, she was out there. Life happens. You need to slip and roll with the punches. Absolutely. Got another $5 super chat again. Our guy Anton. Men don't know how to be resilient now because they don't know how to handle rejection. But again, all these sites, Craigslist, Backpage, MySpace, nightlife numbers, again, all that stuff was there. And I'm not saying, certainly for long-term, for marriage, I don't know how many of those are successful. Again, I don't know if we have metrics on those. I think people are certainly tracking those things better now than they did back then. But yeah, but whatever was open. It's Friday night. It's Saturday night. I got nothing else going on. You want to go out on a date? Yeah. But like I said, back then also, again, a date could have been to the local pizza parlor. This idea of going to Del Frisco's or to Ruth Chris Steakhouse on the first date, that wasn't a thing back then, unless you actually were one of them dime pieces who was dating basketball players and football players and things like that. I mean, yeah. But again, there was almost like a racket. It was almost like with the wrestlers, the ring rats, right? I mean, you had your groupies and hangers on who were used to that kind of treatment. But none of us are ballers like that. So yeah, meeting someone, say coffee date, Dunkin' Donuts. I've had dates at McDonald's. And in fact, one of the dates was the one I met. One of the dates I went on, I met her on the WBLS Sold connection. Our first date was McDonald's. And it wasn't about the McDonald's that was the issue. There just wasn't a vibe when we met. There was a religious difference. She was Catholic and I was Protestant. But again, it was kind of, it just the vibe wasn't good. But again, I didn't think she was a bad person. And I didn't think that, it was a waste of time. I was interested in the process.
But again, Paul, like I said earlier, you've been out of the game for so long. I bet right now, if something happened between you and your wife to get back into, you'll be very lost.
I would hope that I would adapt. Now, again, at my age, I'm 56. So again, I think that, one, I would hope that and again, I'm not one of these guys. I'm not looking for a 28-year-old. All right. So stop that also. Again, if you're old enough to be my daughter, I'm not interested. So again, if I was to date again, she would probably be at least 45. And I would hope that a 45-year-old woman would have a little bit more sense than what we're seeing out here now. At least, again,
you're focused.
Again, I'm going with some presumptions, yes. But again, I'm hoping with an older woman, maybe her kids are grown. So I don't want to be a father again, which is why I don't want a younger. I don't want to be a father. I don't want to be a stepfather. Your kids should be grown and out of your life. If I went, let's say, if I dated a woman who's 50, but she's got a 30-year-old son at home, that's a red flag for me. Because I'm asking myself, why is your 30-year-old son still home? I would think unless there's a situation where he has to be there or something like that. I'm like, look, did you raise an independent person to be on their own? I'm going to be looking for that. But you should have, at our ages, we should have very little entanglements where our children are financially dependent on us to an extent. All my girls, they're gainfully employed. Yes, some still live at home. They're gainfully employed and they're moving in their careers and they're doing things.
But you understand, if you ask these questions in this decade, even a 45-year-old, even a 55-year-old, even a 60-year-old, most likely she's going to get up and goes, see ya.
And that's perfectly fine.
Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to tell you. The back in the day, that was like, okay, it's a normal question. Those normal questions are not normal questions anymore. You got to tread very gently with those stuff. Now, after a third or fourth date, yeah, you can start asking those questions. Not necessarily like maybe they're living together because of financial reasons, because maybe
I think it's in fact, King and Michelle were talking about this on a show a few weeks ago. If you're older, you're going to be less tolerant and patient of anything. Because with us, we don't have time. I'm going to ask you some direct questions right up front. I'm 56 years old. And, maybe I'm looking to get married again and maybe I'm not. More than likely, I would say, yeah, I'm looking to get married again. But I'm not messing around. And if that offends you on a first date, again, we supposed to be some grown people who got some sense and some wisdom, who know what we want. But if you're still trying to maneuver like a 30-year-old and you're in your 50s, that definitely is a red flag for me.
But a lot of women move like that now.
And that's perfectly fine.
That might not work for you, Paul, and I get that. But what I'm trying to get through your head right now is, if you got back into the game, you'd be completely lost, because it is a different world out there. What you remember is not the same anymore.
I'm not saying it is. I'm not saying it is, but the openness to trying. It's like technology. I mean, I'm not one of these people, like you see a lot of older people, they reject technology. Anything that's new, they're scared of. I'm saying I'm not going to be scared. I'm saying if it happened tomorrow, I would be open to an online dating site. Maybe for older people, maybe for 50s plus, maybe something in that nature. I would be open to that. I'd be open to meeting people at church or church functions. I'd be open to going to different networking events. I'm still going to speak to people. I'm still going to approach, especially an older woman. I know you talked about the younger ones thinking, hey, you're pretty. I'm still going to introduce them. If I'm especially at a function, whatever, I'm still going to go up. I'm going to introduce myself. Hello, what's your name? We're going to have a conversation. Nothing's changing over here. Because I'm looking for the woman that's like, oh, he's not afraid to, he's bold. He's not afraid to come up and greet me. I'm looking for that. And if you're not the one, then I'm, like I said, I have no problem at my age saying this. But again, older people should not be playing around. And this is something that I hate. You got some grown people, 50 plus, and you still trying to operate in this world like you're 25, 30. How you dress. Now, I'm not saying as you should dress like an old woman in one of those momos or something like that. But you could be going to the club. You see, when we go on vacation, we be seeing these 50-year-old women trying to dress like a thot. I mean, come on. I mean, what are you doing? You still trying to be out here as if you're competing with 20-year-olds. And I'm saying no.
I give you a great example, Paul. At the bar when I was hanging with Frank, a lot of women who you think they're, maybe 30s, 40s, they're actually in 60s plus, and they're dressing like they're in the 20s.
Yeah.
And they're trying to hook up with a college kid.
Yeah. I think there's a dress code for every age. Like I said, I don't think that an older woman should dress old, but I think there's a look that is sexy, that is attractive for an older person, but you shouldn't look like a 20-something-year-old. 50s, you got varicose veins, you got all kinds of stuff coming out. I mean, it's just not a good look. You're probably going to have a little fat around the belly. Again, there's an appropriate look that's still attractive, that still says, yeah, you still got some goodies that you're still working with. And speaking of working, you should still be working out. Again, I take the excuse from everybody. My age, I still train as hard as a 20-year-old. And so so again, are you in the gym? Are you taking care of yourself? Are you strength training? Those are things I'm going to be looking for also. But before
every woman is into the working out thing, Paul. Are you going to disqualify her because she doesn't like working out?
Absolutely. Because again, that tells me you're not taking care of your temple.
But she's in great health. She's better in health than you are.
Again, there's health and there's fitness. Health means the absence of disease, injury, or illness. Fitness They're able to be strong, especially because we're older. Most older people, the issue is you start developing hip issues, in part because you're not moving or you're not resistance training. And you see these older people in their 50s can't even get out of a chair because they're not putting it in. So again, I want a woman in her 50s that still is not afraid to get into the squat rack. That's what I want. And I know I'm not going to hit a lot, but I don't need to.
And I'll be honest with you, Paul, those women who are in their 50s are working out at very, very high maintenance that we probably not going to be able to afford those women.
We'll see. We'll see.
I'm telling you the facts.
We'll see.
That's the only thing I can tell you. We talk to you in a time and day.
Again, we will see. Again, but if you're talking about the ones that are doing it for, again, to maintain their health, or again, are they still trying to, do they have an IG page and they're still posting pictures of themselves in their 50s on an IG page? I'll
give you a great example. I know this woman. Don't remember her name. I met her through actually CQ and Jenny. So sweet woman, we kept in contact over the years. So her pride and joy was her son and everything about her son. When her son joined, I believe was the Navy, I'm not mistaken, she was bored. Her marriage has been going downhill for years. There are more roommates than anything. But she started going to the gym to the point that she's such in shape that, fitness magazines are taking pictures of her and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I always say, hey, what's going on? And I passed by her a couple times. She'd say hi. I'm like, yo, you good? And I'm like, I always say hi to you. Like, yeah, you're below me now. You're below me. I'm like, you're not up to my standards. I won't be seen in public with somebody who drives a Hyundai. And I laughed.
Yeah, I mean, those again, there are women out there who are older who, again, they still think they can attract the younger, wealthier guy. Again, part of it also is, again, do you have a balanced perspective, knowing, again, who you are and who you can get? And again, for them, again, there's no interest. But before we go on, I want to acknowledge, again, certainly our sponsor for the night. Again, our guy, Anton. Once again, I can't see myself dating a woman that's the same age. Facts. Or my goddaughter at 36 years old. Appreciate that. And yes, you do have women, as we've been talking about. You got 40, 50-year-old women on OnlyFans and IG pages. Again, not interested in that. Or at least if you have an IG page, is it more respectable images? Or are you still doing cheek shots at 50 years old and just, because you're just trying to show your body, you're just trying to show your body off. 10% of women 18 to 50 have OnlyFans pages. Yes, it is kind of crazy, but
I'll use my cousin, bro. She's almost 60.
Mm-hmm.
Personal trainer. She will not date anybody who at least makes over 200,000. She said it multiple times.
Yeah, I mean, there's an industry for that, but again, a lot of those women are staying single. So I mean, you're doing all that work, but again, the only question, again, I don't even want to knock that. My only question is, what outcome do you want? If the outcome is money from either OnlyFans or some social media page or whatever, then congratulations, you got that. Is there anything else that you got that you want? You don't want a man, you don't want a husband, you don't want, that sort of thing, then, I can't stop you. What am I gonna say? You're getting what you want.
I totally get what you're saying, Paul. But what I'm trying to get through your head is, like, some things are different what you remember. Like, you want this standard. Those standards don't exist anymore. You're gonna have to compromise in some way, somehow, some things.
I don't think I would.
Then you probably be jerking off a lot.
Then I think it's a big pull, and that's just a mindset. Now you could say that, but I haven't brought into this this sort of negative kind of typecasting of everything. I think there's somebody out there for what you want if you're willing to fish for it. Now again, now BMU saying they dress like they're 29, they're 60 years old. I think I'm looking for a balance. Like I said, I don't necessarily want certainly a 6-year-old, certainly not like my mom or my grandmother dressed. Like I said, I don't want my woman in a momo. My wife obviously is in my age bracket. She doesn't dress like neither 29 nor does she dress like a typical 60-year-old. I think there's certainly a balance there. Same mother dress all the same, yeah, and want the same men. That is a reality. We got again. I got lunatic again. Grandma's 32. The grandma's 32 years old, man. So yeah, I mean that's certainly that's certainly happening. He wants squats for other reasons. Couldn't he's a riding capacity. Yeah, listen, for a lot of people that can't even get off a chair. So again, squats, especially it builds the posterior chain. Absolutely. Again, but then strength training. Don't give me yoga and Pilates. All that stuff is fine. But if you neglect strength training, bone density, all those benefits from strength training, I think people certainly need to people need to do that. Facts, I hooked up with barrack rats during my time in the service. Yeah, hunting for certain people. The Navy was no different. You had base wives putting moos or brooms or when their husband was on deployment. Yeah, I mean, there are situations like that. But again, I would be optimistic. I'd be very optimistic about it. I mean, certainly, in that process, like I said, I wouldn't discriminate. But all those options are going to be open to me, and until I found and that's assuming if I did, because I'm so locked in with my wife right now, like I can't see myself with anybody else, and I certainly don't want anybody else.
And I'm glad for you.
Yeah.
The only thing I'm trying to get through your head, like I said, if God forbid anything ever happened, whatever the case was, just play devil advocate for a minute with me, bro. I'm telling you right now, you'll be shocked because I know how are you with how you are. Like drinking's off the hook, smoking's off the hook. You this and you have so many standards. I'm telling you, you're not gonna find everyone will be like how all these standards you're looking for, like your wife. She's a rough diamond you found.
Mm-hmm.
Like she might not be religious at all. She goes, I don't go to church. Fuck that shit.
Mm-hmm.
She goes, I believe in God, but I don't believe in going to church. You can tell her, like she's disqualified for that.
It's not so much for me about church; it's about what do you believe by that. So again, we would have a conversation. I want to know. I want to know your views on that. When you say you believe in God, what God, what are we talking about? Because you can say, especially these days, and again, that's another discussion. I know we don't talk about religion a whole lot, but I know a lot of God-fearing people don't go to church for specific reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And I would certainly be sensitive to that if we were to have that. That conversation. So again, that's not necessarily a deal break. My 3 biggest deal breakers, though, for me, like just off the rip, regardless of your age or whatever. 1, I don't like smoking is completely out. If you're a smoker, totally out. Excessive tattoos, I don't care how fine you are. Tattoos, like with an S. I mean, like back in my day, people would get tattoos, like a small, indiscriminate tattoo in the place that you could easily cover up. Now everyone's into body art.
94% of women now.
They're into body art, not into that. Especially, again, think about a 56-year-old woman. You got all that body art because you thought it looked cool in your 20s. Now you're 60 years old, and whatever that body art is sagging. That's not a good look.
I'll keep it correct. I'm not going to say names. Yesterday, me and my girlfriend, she's a member of this private bar, a club, pretty much, right? So they always have an event every so often. So last night was like their opening summer picnic. One of her friends has completely sleeves straight down.
Mm-hmm.
I did not see one woman, and they're all over the age, from my age, younger, all the way to the 60s. Did not have a tattoo.
Mm-hmm.
So you say you don't like tattoos, but you're eliminating like 99.9% of the women now out of the days.
Yeah, because I'm only looking for one.
Again, you're eliminating most of the women out there.
I know I am, and I'm only looking for one.
She works out. She goes to church. Does everything.
But I didn't even you didn't even give me a chance to give my 3rd criteria. Again, I do not like a profane woman.
Oh, you're 20.
And I know that's common now. Everybody swears. Everybody cusses. And I'm not down with that either.
Mm-hmm.
It shouldn't be in your vocabulary. Now, again, can anybody have an expletive situation? Someone cuts you off on the road or whatever, or something gets heated, you get into a fight, you say something you typically won't say. I'm not talking about that. But I'm talking about a woman who's just her mouth is so uncouth that every other word out of her mouth is an F-bomb or something. It's like we're just having a regular conversation and you just can't stop cussing for like 20 seconds. That's totally out. So again, if now BMU was saying if I were dating today, you would be alone for sure. The quality now is great value, Crisco. It's hard to find.
You might be laughing.
So I may be that guy. I'd be the guy who go out. I would be the guy who goes out swinging. Okay, I would be that guy.
I'll give you a better example. My godfather.
Mm-hmm.
My godfather had a similar situation as you. He didn't like a smoking woman. He doesn't like performing. He did not. He wanted a church woman. He wanted a woman who cooked, clean, the whole 9 yards, like you have. He's 85 years old and still single and no kids.
Okay, but you don't know what he did though. Did he go on an online? Hang on. Did he go on an online site? Did he go out? Did he go? Was he mingling? Was he meeting with people? I mean, I don't know what you're saying.
5 women home.
The result. What's that?
He brought 5 women home to his mother. That's my grandmother's brother. So all 5 of them, she denied him. Says, nope, you're not marrying him. She always finds something issue with him.
So wait a minute. So he's letting his mom make his decisions for him, is what you're saying?
Approval. So you want her.
And again, ultimately, as a man, you have to take ownership over your decisions. So you let your mom disqualify 5 women, one of which could have been good for you. Again, you got to talk about the process. Again, I'm not disrespecting your relative there, but nevertheless.
Oh, he was a moron. I'm not denying that. I'll tell him in his face.
Yeah. So again, I can't buy that. If you're using him as a proof, that wouldn't be me. That wouldn't be me, because I'm not letting my mom choose who my partners are. I know who I am and what I want, and I make that call, not my mother.
And you're right. That was a bad example. I was trying to get to is everything you're looking for in a woman in today's society. It's literally you probably need to go to Mars and different planet to find what you're looking
for. Maybe, who knows? Again, we got another $5 super chat from our guy Anton. Again, some women $5 super chat. Some women now say they want a relationship, but are actually prefer a situationship with no boundaries. They are not the same. Certainly agree with that. Again, more comments from the lunatic libertarian. People don't understand relationships from start to present are developed. Absolutely. Nothing stays the same from day to day, let alone year to year. Certainly no comments there. Again, earlier comment about the military. BMU gets in. Mr. Bennett, that 22 is 20 and nice, and now looks like the dead dolphin sliding down our back. Yeah, I mean, everything, what you did back then, things have repercussions. And again, that tramp stamp that you got when you were 20, you just thought was so hot. And I know a woman now that has one of those, and she's at like 60 years old. It doesn't look hot anymore. Hate to break it to you, but again, that was not a good decision.
Yeah, trying are always a bad idea. But if you something like my tattoos, for example, everyone has a meaning behind it.
It doesn't matter the meaning. I'm going
to disagree with you 100%, Paul.
No, I'm not saying that the tattoos to you they have meaning. I'm saying for me in my criteria, it doesn't mean if you got the tattoo for a good reason or not, or that it has meaning to you or not. I'm saying express yourself differently. If you're saying I have to get a sleeve of tattoos, and each one has, so you got one for your mom, one for your grandma, your grandfather, your dog, your this to that, all the way down your sleeve. I'm not disrespecting the fact that those don't have meaning to you, or that those people weren't important to you, or that you didn't love those people. I'm saying that's not a good look for me.
I disagree.
For me, I'm saying it's not a good look. It's not.
Disagree for a pass.
What are you disagreeing with me on? I'm not taking away your right to a tattoo. Huh?
I always have disagreed with the tattoo. Like you have said to me before, in a work environment, we cannot have tattoos in blue collar. And I have proved you wrong multiple times on that.
Mm-hmm.
Because my CEO has literally from neck down full body tattoo. So you can bring any man stash you want.
And I'm saying if you introduce me to someone who had a full body tattoo, again, I don't care how nice they were or whatever, I would say no. Period.
I didn't say you had data. I'm saying I'm just trying to put up a story where the tattoos like that's not your cup of tea, and that's great.
Right.
But like I said to you before, that is like 1 in a million, or actually a billion at this point. He's not even a person who does not have at least one small tattoo. Not even
and
one.
I might have even susceptible. I didn't say a small tattoo. Like I said, I can deal with some. If you got a small tattoo that's indiscriminate, I'm talking about sleeves or things on your face or your neck or the tramp stamp.
I agree 100%.
Or any of that stuff.
A bad idea.
What's that?
Face and neck tattoos. I always thought it was a bad idea.
But again, more women are getting those too.
Oh yeah, I thought
more women are getting sleeves, the whole shoulder or the thigh. I saw a woman today; her thighs were covered in them.
I think a nice shoulder tattoo or a sleeve tattoo, if the woman has the right body for it, I am okay with that. I'll be honest with you,
and that's fine. I'm not taking that choice away from you. I mean, like I said, I'm not dissing tattoos in terms of they have no meaning. I'm not saying that. No, I'm not going to take away someone's agency to do that. I'm saying in my world, that is unattractive to me. And so I might meet you if I see it. If the first thing I see you from 20 feet away coming towards me, and I can see that kind of right away. It's not going to
do me a favor before you say that. Highlight BMU's last comment because I'm going to kill him right now. This is for you, Paul. This is completely for you.
He almost wrecked.
No, the very last one.
Mr. Bennett, don't want to be making love to women. He said, grandmother's face on first. Yeah, that's not a good look. Or let alone an ex of hers or what have you. Or even, like I said, her kids, her grandkids or whatever. I mean, that's just not a good look. It's just not to me. And I would state all of that stuff like on my profile. If I made an online dating profile, I'll put all up in there. No tats or no significant tats, a foul mouth. I'm not saying the occasional blurt out of something. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about in like the way you talk, Peter. That's what I'm talking about. The way you talk.
That's like 90% of the fucking people in this world now.
Well, then I'll deal with the 10%. And like I said, smoking, and that includes smoking, vaping, weed, whatever. I mean, take those off the table, and I'll deal with who's ever left.
And you live in a state.
And like I said, and do keep in mind, you're saying today, we're not talking about young people. I'm talking about somebody who's going to be in my relative age bracket. So I'm still dealing with essentially senior citizens or people close to it. So it's not likely that those people are going to have tattoos. A 21-year-old today, absolutely. Or an 18-year-old today, absolutely. If you're talking about taking me back, de-aging me to 18 years old in 2026, and what I'm asking for, yeah, I could certainly see that being much harder if I had that criteria. But again, at the same time, though, if I grew up in this age, I may look at that as more acceptable because more people would have it. So again, I'm shaped by my age. Gen X, you didn't have a bunch of people, or certainly not a bunch of women, getting a bunch of tattoos. Not big ones. But now, if that's the culture, then I would think if I'm growing up, if I was born in 2022 or 2002 or 2004, and I grew up in that and everybody has it, I would just go with everybody else. Well, everybody has it. That must be normal. But Generation X, the ones who had that, you were kind of like, she's a baddie. Or she's just in another space that I don't occupy. So I think I wouldn't have as much problem as you think finding a woman with a decent vocabulary that's not talking gutter, that doesn't have a whole sleeve of tattoos on her body, and certainly smoking. I mean, I would now back then certainly people I think smoked more back then than they do today. At least cigarette smoking anyway, because we were the generation, we got the Surgeon General warnings on cigarettes. So I think people start to understand that, yeah, smoking is probably not a good idea. But now people think, okay, because I vape or because I do this or weed's legal or whatnot, that now you got people smoking that. But again, I'm not dealing with some young women of today. I'm going to be dealing my woman at my age, 45 is actually going to be my minimum.
Okay,
And
so
I'm going to
the
put
women
the
that I
additional
know,
criteria on there. She still has to be sexually active and desirous. Yeah, I'm
so
gonna put
the
that.
women I know
I'm gonna put that
are
criteria on there also.
the women that I know are 45 and over are usually vapors, weed smokers, or cigarette smokers. I have not found one woman 45 and above has not at least do one of those. Maybe not on a daily basis. Maybe socialize wise. They
Mm.
drink. I know you don't like drinking either.
I can tell. I don't like drunkenness. I never put a criteria that you couldn't drink, even though my wife really doesn't drink. But
Well,
I didn't
so you
put that.
say
I
she can have
didn't
a six
put
pack
that.
in the house.
What's that?
She can have a six pack in the house.
No, no one. None of my kids can have alcohol in
No,
the
I
house.
said your next wife is a drinker. She wants a six pack in the house or wine.
I probably wouldn't appreciate that. No. We're out to dinner, socializing, whatever you want to have a drink, fine. I'm not, that's not, but again, my thing is drunkenness. And I would appreciate somebody, again, the reason that you don't have it in your house, because you don't want to be drinking it all the time. Save that for when we go out, social occasion or whatnot. Yeah, have your glass of champagne or whatever here. No problem. I don't need a wine rack in my house. But I get it. Again, my criteria, what I'm going on, I get it. I am in a rare category, but I was rare 30 years ago. And I got shot down a lot. Now, again, Eric is saying if a woman dates, she's undateable. In my view, yeah, I'm like, why are you vaping? I mean, let's just start there because this is a whole conversation about drug culture and everything. It seems like everybody needs a drug for everything today. You need a drink in one hand, you need a cigarette or a vape or weed in the other. And if you're not doing that, you're doing some pills or something like that. Everybody is just drugged out their minds. And I'm asking that question too. Why is that? Why is everybody thinks that they need some sort of substance to function? This is almost like science. We read this in science fiction. This is 1984. This is THX 1138. Everybody's in the future. All those sci-fi novels from that were written 80 years ago predicted a future where everybody's drugged up and nobody knows what's going on. And it seems like we're getting there now because everybody's on something. Some mood altering substance or drug or something. I've never had a need for any of that stuff. I enjoy being alert and present and know exactly what's going on with everything around me. So yeah, so I would want somebody who's not dependent. Now again, if you got to take medications for certain things or whatever, no problem. But everybody needs it, and they're making all these pills and drugs now. You need a mood. You need take a pill to be in a sexual mood. Take a mood to chill. Take a mood to get excited. You need an upper. You need a downer. You need a depressant. You need a stimulant. You need everything. And I'm like, what is it with you that you need all this stuff just to function within the day? How are you, in fact, taking care of your health? Are you exercising, which is great for overall health and fitness overall? What's your diet like? Again, people who take that seriously. But I admit tonight that I would be operating in the minority whether I was online or not. I freely admit that. And I admit that I would probably strike out a whole lot more than I would that I would earn. But all the stuff I went through and all that dating for that probably 18-month period, I do it all over again because of the woman that I have. And that's one of the reasons why I would be so optimistic because again, I'm in a way I'm batting 1,000 because I got the one. But if I had to get out there again, yeah, I'd probably I would understand the game, learn the game a little bit, brush up on the skills a little bit, and get out there and try again. And I would certainly encourage people, if you are averse to online dating, I get it. There's phishing, catfishing, there's ghosting, there's all kinds of things that are that are there. It's just an additional point of reference. It's a point of contact that you could use and saves you time, saves you money. Why not have that in your toolkit? It's just another arrow in the quiver. Shoot your shot and see what happens. And if in fact this does wind up being the one that you got, then what is then your overall assessment? Let's say if this girl is the one, she becomes Mrs. Laritzis. I'll ask you, then was it worth it?
Oh, of course she's worth it. I'm not denying that one bit. I think she's worth it now.
Okay.
I have not denied that. But I still think dating sites don't work. I'm not changing my mind on that. Because when
but
you're
you
on
say
it for
dating sites don't work. I'm still trying to bridge that logic then. Especially if you say if this works out for you, but you're saying dating sites don't work. Because obviously people are going to hear, people take your opinion. You're going to discourage someone from going on a dating site, even though you've been messing with them for 10 years?
I'm not saying you should not try it. You should definitely.
But you just said it doesn't work. I mean, I'm just saying.
My opinion doesn't work. I said. From me,
okay, but you're going to say that to. You're going to say that to a younger person? It's like, hey, Pete, do you think I should go on this dating on I should sign up for. What's that?
I'm telling fuck no. Don't go. Find a different
one.
So
what's your alternative then?
And what's the alternative? Don't have one right now. Because right now, it's not a lot of places you can go out. They're not single bars anymore out there to go say you're going to meet, women at single bars. You can't go to the gym because you're going to knock the fuck out a plate probably across your face.
Yeah, gym is kind of skirtish right now.
Work is off limits too now.
Work is off limits. Yeah,
be terminated before you know it.
Well, I said, but again, there's networking events, the social events, and like I said, Comic-Con had a dating hookup thing that they did.
I won't say hookup. I will say more a dating.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was for people who are interested in dating to meet. Like I said, I can't think of any other place where you can meet someone while dressed as a princess. I mean, we've seen all kinds, or have no clothes on. We saw some ladies over there. So like they were half. I mean, I'm surprised that we even let into the building because of what they were wearing. I mean, cheeks were out, and
you're thinking again, your time, today's time.
I said the Comic-Con that we just went to. There were some of the ladies that were parading around in outfits that were definitely showing some flesh off.
Yeah, that's normal now these days.
But what I'm saying is, again, if I was going to meet somebody, obviously I'm not going to meet someone on the street who's dressed like that. Not in most places, but I'm saying if I was like in that world, cosplay, those sort of situations and whatnot, if I met that person and she's got her skin is painted red or pink or blue like one of the Avatar girls or something like that, and I meet her and stuff, and if I'm into that sort of thing, I'd be like, hey, hi, how are you? I mean, where else would I have that kind of interaction except at an event like that? If I'm a wrestling fan and I love WWE and going to the shows and the matches and all that kind of stuff or whatever, yeah, I think I may want to find someone. Are you into that? Now, again, it's not a criteria. My wife doesn't watch wrestling. But again, if I was going to say, getting in places, because that crowd, I mean, everybody's there. WWE is like across the board. You find anybody, any ethnicity, background, you name it, everybody's there. Why not hook up with someone at least that you have a common interest that you can talk about things with? There's nothing wrong with that. So I would say that but again, it's just like I said, it's an arrow in the quiver. Eric is saying I cannot object to the slave Leia in the metal bikini. I think most guys couldn't. For that. But yeah, I mean, I think that I think online dating, and I'm not saying there's not horror stories out there, but again, you used to get a bunch of horror stories back then. I remember I went on 1 week. I think I went on 3 dates in 1 week, using that Kiss Connections thing. 1 week. In fact, I had 2 dates in one night. That's what, 2 dates in one night. and they both struck out. And in part was, again, one of them for totally different reasons. One, she was a member of this church that was kind of like this Pentecostal thing. Is like, yeah, you guys are kind of creepy. And it didn't go anywhere. And she was actually trying to recruit me, or so to speak. And I was like, yeah, it's not going to work. I went on another date with the Seventh-day Adventist. And we went on 2 dates. I mean, it was good. She was, everything, but her bottom line was I had to convert to a Seventh-day Adventist. And when I did some research on Seventh-day Adventists and what they believe, I'm like, nah, I can't roll like that either. No diss to the Seventh-day Adventists. But again, the belief systems that they have are not compatible with mine. So to your point about the Orthodox thing, I wasn't so specific. Okay, you had to be an AME or a Baptist or something like that. But again, there's some common criteria that we got to agree on. And I thought those guys were a little bit out of the parameter of what I was comfortable with. And I left it alone. If you one of these Pentecostal speaking in tongues type of people or whatever, I'm not for you. I'll say that right now. If I came home, my wife started speaking in tongues or whatever, I'd probably flip out. I'd be like, what are you doing? That's not us. And so that is all of that would be part of the process. Scientology, yeah, definitely. Scientology, I don't want to get audited. I don't want to go in and face my auditor every week and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, Scientology, that's that Hollywood type of thing or whatever. No, Tom Cruise, great actor, John Travolta, all those guys, but no. And those guys are, like I said, it is cultic because remember King of Queens, the TV show King of Queens, the Leia Remini, I know she was raised in that. Like her parents were in that. But then she saw some things that weren't necessarily right and she left and they basically ostracized her. Like she's like her persona non grata in that world. And that's one of the reasons why that something is like cultish or not. It's like, if you're not with them, you're with us, you're with them, and they just 86 you. You know what I mean? So she went through that whole thing, and I remember watching podcasts of her experience getting kind of kicked out of but she was as hardcore as a Scientologist as you can get. She was down with all of that stuff. But then once she asked a couple questions and then she started seeing some things and she kind of really saw the light and was like, nah, this isn't for me anymore. And they cut her off. And so so I have standards, I have criteria just as you do, just like everybody does, just as certainly libertarian, lunatic libertarian, keep your standards and criteria. But the important thing is keep firing, keep shooting until you find what you want. Now, one thing he also said earlier was that, certainly all that criteria that he talked about, it wasn't necessarily defined at the time, but it kind of developed over time as he's been with his wife. And so I guess it was more so he was framing it as, if he had to start over today, this is what I would have. This is what I would want because this is what I had and experienced. And I can relate to that too, because I wasn't really open as much to, like I said, I was more open to the type of woman I would be with back then. Now, again, my wife's kind of got me trained. So I think if I was going to try to get out there on the dating market again, she's got to be chocolate. I can't say that enough. I love my chocolate black woman. I don't want light skin. I don't want red bones, whatnot. Brown bag test. She's got to be definitely on the darker side of the bag. I love dark-skinned chocolate black women. And I'm not getting off of that. No disrespect to the Asian women or the Greek women or the Puerto Rican women or Dominican women or whatever, as long as you chocolate. And I will put that on there also. So, yeah, I'm going to knock out. So I'm looking for this chocolate woman, no tats, doesn't drink, limited tattoos, yeah, I'm going to be playing in a very small pool. And if one is remaining, let's talk. Let's have some coffee. And let's see where we can go from here. And like I said, I think I would be I think it would be good with that. But we're starting to wind down the show. We've got a couple minutes left in the show. Again, first of all, I want to thank our guy Anton for being the sponsor for tonight's show. Really appreciate all the super chats that you've given to the Black Men Unfiltered Network. Really appreciate that. And for everybody who's participated tonight, again, the nice thing, what I love about what we've been doing here, we've been seeing new guests like every week. Like people just hop in. Lunatic, you've been riding us for a minute. Consider becoming certainly a subscriber, certainly to the network. We love having you interact, whether we agree or not. Again, appreciate you being here. But it's like every week we get new people popping in just to see what we're talking about. So again, shout out to BMU for the banners that you create, which is interesting. The one I saw today, it was almost like you were peeping corn sites. I'm like kind of looking over your shoulder as you're looking at the sites or whatever. So that was kind of funny there. But again, you've been doing a great job with the thumbnails, certainly for the show and the banners of the show. So again, thanks to BMU for making this possible. But yeah, we can certainly go to our final thoughts, and certainly I will give it over to Peter, and you can talk about a guy who is his current girl he met online, and we'll see how this goes. But I know certainly what your desires are, and I want you to have, as a friend, I want you to have the desires of your heart, and I certainly hope this goes in a very positive direction that brings you happiness. Certainly going forward, because I know who you are and what you want and what you deserve. And so, but anything you want to say as we wind down the show?
As much I personally don't believe the insides work. That's my personal opinion, but I should think you should, if you're on a date, give it a shot. Don't go off my judgment. Don't go off Paul's judgment. Go on your own judgment. Try it out. Put some ground rules like I do. See how that works. Maybe you need to compromise. Maybe you don't. I can't tell you that because I don't know what your end goal is. What are you looking for? But try it out. And if it works, throw a comment and let me know. I'm curious.
Yeah, and just also from the we had a poll earlier in the show. And I think we had 7 people who voted, the majority of them, when the question was asked whether or not would you meet someone met online for a serious relationship. 14% said yes, it worked for them. 14% said absolutely not. And the overwhelming 71% said maybe with time. And I can agree with that. Again, be open to it. Or certainly seeing how things flesh out. Maybe you may have a friend of yours who may have success there that may motivate you to want to give it a shot. But certainly, and for the person it worked for, good for you. And hopefully it stays there, and you can keep reaping the benefits of what you've of what you put into. But we appreciate you guys again being here once again. Make sure you hit the like button as you leave the show, and again, hop over to Sparta HQ Network, drop a like there as well. Again, really helps us out there, doing some great things on that channel. All kinds of different diversified shows. We talk about everything. It's almost like a geek barbershop over there, right? We got Hangout. We were talking about what was that? Punisher versus Batman. On Saturday.
Don't remind me, I lost my debate.
Yeah, so we so there's all kinds of different content over there. We got Spartan Arena, so we're doing some cool things over there. But it's like, imagine your barbershop, but it's like you went into the geek barbershop. And so we'll talk about things over there. We have also a big interview coming up next week with a very famous film producer. So again, that's going to be a special edition of the Spartan Arena that we'll have that guest on. So again, tune into the channel certainly for that content, and certainly for being on BMUs. Again, next time you'll see me will be on Wednesday, the one-on-one sports show. I know we had certainly the NBA game tonight, Game 7 between Cleveland and the Pistons. I don't know what happened, so I got to go back and watch the game. But again, the big series, Game 1, San Antonio Spurs and Oklahoma City, defending champions, that kicks off tomorrow night. So again, we'll have a lot to talk about Wednesday on the sports show here on the network. And so just stay tuned to this network for everything that's going on here. But again, we really appreciate you guys being with us certainly tonight. So certainly for myself, Mr. Bennett, and he is
This is Sparta!
the Ghost of Sparta, a.k.a. Peter, a.k.a. Panayotis. This is the Gray Area. For all you guys, enjoy the rest of your week. Take care. God bless. And we'll see you next time. Good night.